Hi, I'm Bruce Buffer, the voice of the UFC Octagon, and I'm speaking the MMA truth.
Angel Cordero for the MMATruth.com from Puerto Rico, and we are at the MGM in Las Vegas for a very special occasion, Randy Couture's annual charity poker tournament, alongside a very good friend of Puerto Rico and the most recognizable voice in MMA today, Bruce Buffer. Bruce, welcome to the MMATruth.com in Puerto Rico.
Appreciate it. You know, Puerto Rico is very important to me because, as you know, UFC 8 was in Puerto Rico back in 1996, and that was the first UFC that I ever announced and ever stepped foot in the Octagon. So I understand, thanks to you, that we're going back to Puerto Rico.
That's right.
That's amazing. What a way to end the year to get that kind of news, because it's a lot of history for me, and I love Puerto Rico.
Not only that, Dana White just ordered yesterday that the UFC Puerto Rico t-shirt be put into production immediately.
Well, they're going to sell a lot of them, that's for sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You're here to play in the tournament, in Randy Couture's tournament, and what are the expectancies of this?
To win. I play poker a lot. I just took 19th in the World Poker Tour main event in Montreal. I played against about 1,200 of the finest players in the world, and after 3 days I got 19th, which was an amazing feeling. It always is. But whenever you enter a poker tournament, there's a commitment to time, 4, 5, 6 hours. So if you're going to commit to time, you might as well commit to winning, right? So I'll play the best I can, may the best man win, and I'll do the best job I can.
Well, in the very least, the more time you spend in a tournament means that you're probably going all the way till the end.
I hope so. I hope so. You can't win a tournament in 2 hours when it takes 6 hours to win, so you have to be patient. Patience is key.
How do you manage, and I presume this is a regular hobby of yours,
Yes.
How do you manage to be like, because UFC is the busiest sports promotion in the world, how do you manage that?
You know, I try to pick and choose and play, because I play cash games at, in where I live in Los Angeles, and I can do that usually once a week, but a tournament's a commitment of 2, 3, up to maybe 2 weeks sometimes. So I miss a lot of tournaments, but when I get a chance and there's an opening, barring any family or situations with friends, then I want to go play poker and I want to relax. It's a great way for me to escape and relax, and a great way to make some money too,
Of course, this is a charity tournament. Talk to the people about, what it pursues and what's the charity about.
Well, the charity is the GI Foundation, which obviously is all about our armed forces. And Randy Couture has been doing this now for, I think, 4 years, and along with Karina Jett, who's a top poker pro. And it basically gives back to the people who are giving their lives and their time for us, which is our armed forces. Anything I can do to support the armed forces, I'm there. Absolutely there, no question.
Great. UFC 155, the rematch between Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez, and the end of a very interesting year, to say the very least, for the UFC. And we're asking people, what's your favorite moment in 2012 for the UFC?
There's so many great moments in 2012. This is the thing that blows me away about the UFC and why I've been in it for 17 years. Every time I think I've seen the greatest fight, I see the next greatest fight 2 months or less from that point. Every time I see one of the most amazing new coming fighters come up, suddenly we have another fighter creating a new breed of fighters, whether it's John Jones or Jose Aldo, and then they sign Ronda Rousey, and now we're going to have the greatest woman fighter against other great women fighters inside the Octagon, something I thought would never happen. These are tantamount moments for the UFC that have taken place, along with all the incredible fights. As far as the great moment, going into Macau, China, and opening up China, going down to Brazil for me and having 18,000 or 20,000 people yell "It's time" to me back when I'm saying it during the main event, showing me that the sport is growing so big. It's not about me, it's about the sport, it's about the UFC. And these are just milestones that Dana White and Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta keep creating and make happen. So it's not that there's the greatest moment, there's a number of great moments. And that's why I love, one of the many reasons I love the UFC so much.
And it's kind of risky to ask a question like that a day before UFC 155, because the favorite moment for a lot of people could be there in that event.
That's the whole point. I mean, you've got fights tomorrow night from beginning to end that could be the fight of the night. It was just 2 out of the last 3 UFCs. The fight of the night bonus went to the untelevised undercard fights. That's why if you're a UFC fan, you need to show up right at the beginning and see all the fights. Obviously, ending with Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez, which is going to be, you ever watch National Geographic when 2 elks come together and they smash? That's what it's going to be like tomorrow night. It's going to be unbelievable.
On the flip side, what is that moment you wouldn't want to remember in 2012 for the UFC?
The fact that I could not make the Australian UFC show. That's, for me, that's the moment. I have only missed one show in 17 years, and now it's 2, but only because I couldn't get to each place. So for me, on a personal level, no offense to the announcer that announced it, because he did a fine job, but for me, not being in the Octagon for my beloved UFC, that was probably my worst moment.
You know, that was a comment that we received at the MMA Truth a lot, that you weren't there for that card, and it would, I imagine that it would be mega hard to get from one side of the world from another.
Trust me, if I could have done it, I would have. I did Atlantic City, and then I went to Rio de Janeiro and did 2 shows in 2 hemispheres and 2 time zones in less than 24 hours. It just could not be done for the Australian show. Otherwise, I would have done it. If I could have done it, I would have done it.
Well, anyways, Bruce, I thank you for everything you've done for the sport, for being such a positive image for the company and the sport, and I hope that we can welcome you to Puerto Rico sometime soon, which will happen.
We'll be there with bells on, I promise you, my friend. I want to go back to Puerto Rico, no question.
For the MMATrue.com, Bruce Buffer, the voice of the Octagon, Angel Cordero. Thank you.